Hi, everyone. So, in continuation to the discussion, we are going to touch base on the aspects of the DAO, how the feedback loop can be developed. Okay, I'll just write it down. Feedback loop. Okay, feedback loop for DAO. We are going to touch base on punitive damages. And I'm going to touch base on the aspect of few of the patterns. I'll be uh, discussing those applications. I'll just wait for a couple of minutes before we restart. I'll just fetch some applications in this regard. Okay, so we'll be talking about punitive damages and um, let me just fetch that for everyone. Just wanting to see the URL performance. Or is it performing? Okay. Okay, I'm sharing uh, keyword string. You can just, whenever anybody is online, can look into this stuff. But the way to look into this stuff is different. You don't have to go through the algos and everything. What uh, Google is stating, you need to use your own understanding, which is very important for the analysis. And particularly, I'll walk you through this pattern application. So basically, this is a cybersecurity device and method. We can use this for the search purpose. And I'll just look into the aspect of the pattern themes. So the way you need to read the application is just look into the figures. That is point number one. Point number two, read the abstract, which is very important. And when you see the figures and the abstract, take the drawing board and just try and analyze it again in your own way. That is the understanding of yours, which is the RI, which is the real intellect, because we cannot work with the artificial intelligence because that is the, I mean, folks from all walk of life are trying to do the same thing, and we cannot use that data set for solving any kind of problem. The 22 claims in this particular application number doesn't hold any significance. Okay, so what do we have? Okay, see, if we mimic this part in terms of understanding it into another aspect of solving and resolving anything, the way folks are utilizing the scalability and reading of these pattern applications is most of the folks, what they do is they analyze the patent in terms of the tech and they deploy it for solving something else. So in this particular aspect, we have something called the score, which is your, I would rather say as a SWOT analysis, the risk scoring, which is basically the aggregates of anomalies, which is a risk score for the subject at risk, then assign particular weight to a different type of suspicious behaviors. What I would like to talk about here is right now, so many folks are online, which is a good thing. However, the folks who are online are not online for the purpose of connecting, and getting things in a right manner. They are folks who are online and they are with the malice intent to fraud the other party in terms of even writing an email, not in terms of the money's part. I'm not talking about fiat currency. I'm not talking about blockchain. What I'm trying to talk about is the fake emails in terms of not the spam emails, the best of the people who seem to be intellectual, who seem to be coming from the best of the families, who seem to have all the data set right, but the intent is to create a email at particular instance of time because they are time stamping that time of the email, the content of the email, the subject of the email, everything is a code now because these guys know that there are very few patent agents in the country, and this is something the Indian government has to resolve in terms of why the Indian patent agents are being targeted. If there are 1.4 billion people, and only if a minuscule number of people are patent agents, either they should receive all the subsidiaries which a government employee is receiving, or this should be abolished and let anyone and everyone is more of a kind of an LIC agent because the way this is being treated, even from the standpoint view of folks who are part of the finance sector, that is the CA and the CS, their brother, sister, or XYZ family members are part of the parenting system, which is again a monopoly in terms of it is not solving any issue. They don't understand tech. They're here to just mint some fiat currency and live a lifestyle which is not solving the problem per se. They're acting in like we are here to resolve your issues, but they are like promoting their children who are still in school, I mean in kindergarten and all that stuff, and still they are the patent holders. This is another menace which is happening right now and this should be stopped. I mean, first of all, innovation, a person who understands patent or is part of it. For us, innovation is like like this, we can just do it right away. We can read something and we can just create, we can sell something and nobody can do anything about it because we or the nations have that capability of monitoring the data set. But the point and contention here is, do we need Indian patent agents at the first place? That's the question the government of India needs to answer because anyhow, they're trying to put their son, sister, brother-in-law, sister-in-law into the system. And the system right now is totally corrupt. I mean, there's no kind of blockchain right now. The best of the companies cannot get their patent through in the process of that from the filing date. Say, for example, right now, if you have filed somewhere in the year 2011 and you are still waiting for the first examination report, and even if the report is coming, it is not going through it, and they're saying, like, okay, section 3 is applicable. So it becomes very difficult, and it is like more from the standpoint view of corruption rather than the standpoint view of resolving the issue. Um, and a lot of players are playing this part by onboarding on BSE, which is the Bombay Stock Exchange, which again is a menace in terms of intellectual property rights, blockchain, and everything. It's like the share market and everything is like collapsed in terms of intellectual property rights because everything is being now part of the blockchain without even understanding the blockchain. And like when I was back from China, and like when I was called upon by these guys at the, I think it was there's something at the Ambience Mall, which is at the intersection of Delhi and Haryana. So I was called upon there. They recorded me. I was on stage. They got some data sets, and dominance is very well evident. And that's one reason I'm not part of any of the conferences, neither I'm part of any authority right now. Even though if I'm a lawyer, I'm a patent agent, my number is nil and void. Neither I want to associate myself in any respect whatsoever. I have seen what has happened at the Delhi High Court, and I'm never going to enter that Mecca Medina of the justice system, because once you see how the justice system has treated the facts, which were very evident on the face of it, nothing happened. And if this is the way, the system wants to work, let them work. I don't want to be part of the system. I'm very happy to be outside the system and work as a DAO, which is much more effective and which is much more impactful. And the justice system should work like that, because end of the day, the parties, all the parties, there has to be a system where the restoration should happen. Without the restoration and just leaning upon a data set where the data is not analyzed, I understand there's so much of, I don't blame the judges, um, I don't blame the lawyers. It's just how the whole system is after the independence of India. And that is one reason you see any kind of IPR matter before the court. I'm not representing anyone for the contentious and the non contentious matters, because my intent is never to represent anyone before the courts of India. If anything has to be done, it has to be done out of the court, because that process is much easier. It is much more easier to code it in the smart contracts and get things done, because the offline world is mimicking the online world, and the chaos has to be minimized. So that minimization can only happen when good coders code the smart contracts, and coding the smart contracts my way. Something is on the something somebody is able to view, that is public ledger. Something which is personal to me is private ledger, and that is what the essence of blockchain is all about. So I think even for this one, I'll just uplink everything, and then probably Elon Musk can look into it and see how to go about. And we all are waiting for the tariff, so let's see what happens on that day. So we are just a few hours away from that. In terms of the coding is done, the mandate is ready. It's just that how the country analyzes this at a larger scale. Thank you for watching out the video. Have a great day ahead.